In what has been a very confusing day in federal court, the plea deal that Hunter Biden had initially made on those misdemeanor tax charges has basically fallen apart, just unraveling right there in the courtroom today. ABC News' Olivia Rubin is outside the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, and joins me with more. She was actually inside the courtroom today. We also have political director Rick Klein here in D.C. and John Katko, ABC News political contributor and former U.S. assistant attorney. So, Olivia, let's start with you. You were inside the courtroom for those proceedings. Give us the highlights and just what it was like to sort of witness this deal falling apart, and how did Hunter Biden react?
Well, really, Kira, you used the word for it. It was a stunning development, and it was almost over a 3.5-hour hearing that went on here. And I can say that the sort of unraveling of this deal, the issues, the judge picking them apart happened, quite frankly, almost immediately. So it was hours of grilling against the prosecutors, against Hunter Biden and his attorneys, against Hunter Biden himself at times, where the judge really took this hearing on what many expected to be sort of an open and shut deal and scrutinized it and took a fine-tooth comb and went through every single aspect of it. It resulted in multiple breaks. The parties would separate. They would come back together, see if they could work something out here. You asked about Hunter Biden, and from my colleague Luke Brueggemann, who was also inside the courtroom, he appeared frustrated. He appeared agitated. He would get up from his chair. He would return to his chair, consult with his legal team. So it was a day of frustration, of size, of communication, of sort of deal making right there, as you said, on the courtroom floor, but ultimately not able to pull it together today, Kira, as you said.
So, John, this is the first time a sitting president's child has been charged with a federal crime. What's your reaction to that, and how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, quite frankly, the judge's job is to probe the contours of a plea, and they obviously did not feel comfortable with that. And I think what happened was they determined that the prosecution is not willing to absolve Hunter Biden of other possible criminal conduct from an influence peddling standpoint. That appears to be the sticking point, and that's a very big thing. So going forward now, the prosecution, when deals fell apart for me, you go back to the grand jury and you get an indictment, because they're up against a speedy trial clock in a few months. So most likely the next stage, unless there's a quick a plea deal to be hammered out, most likely they're going to come back with formal charges, and then they're going to set the time clock to deal with those charges.
So, Rick, we're now hearing reaction from House Speaker Kevin McCarthy as well. You know, from the very beginning, Republicans talked about this being a sweetheart deal.
He's putting pressure back on the Justice Department to prove, in his words, that there aren't two different tiers of justice, to prove that Hunter Biden is going to be treated like every other defendant. And look, a lot of ways, according to the Hunter Biden team, they felt like he was already being treated differently because of his relationships. He was going to cut this plea deal, even though this would not be prosecuted under most cases. But it will put a lot of pressure on Biden and the Biden Justice Department to show their independence and continue to work on this, even though it is the son of the sitting president, and even though there was a plea agreement that fell apart. A lot of eyes are going to be on the two negotiating parties. Can they salvage something out of a deal, or will they move ahead with the prosecution? And what will the guardrails be put up around that prosecution to assure its independence?
So, Olivia, what is Hunter's legal team saying now?
Absolutely nothing as of yet, Kira. We saw that Hunter and his team depart immediately from the courthouse. They got into their cars and they left. They have been silent up until this point. But what we know now is that the judge has said, you guys need to come back together, see if you can work through, go through the specific provisions that I've laid out that I have problems with, and see if we can get somewhere on those. She has to be briefed again. It was prosecutors that suggested perhaps in 14 days they can be back here in a Delaware courthouse to see if they've been able to move the needle somewhere where the judge can see an appropriate plea deal that she's willing to let go forward so that Hunter can enter his plea. But as of yet, nothing. So it's certainly going to be back to the drawing board right now for both of those sides.
All right, we'll follow it. Olivia, Rick, John, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.